Right, guys, we are live with our amazing reinventing powerpreneur, Dr. LaQuoia Johnson. And I'm really excited to have her on the show today. We're a little bit behind schedule, but technical issues, right? We can't really help it. Um, Dr. McCoy, I would love for you to get started with our powerpreneur interview today.
Absolutely. So, LaQuoia, you know what? It'd be easy for me to just kind of read through your bio, but I'd love for you to just kind of just take the stand and just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how you got started with entrepreneurship.
My goodness. Now, Brittany, that is a huge undertaking right there. That is so huge. I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet to the point. I do want to say thank you both for having me here today. It's always a pleasure to talk to both of you all. I like to say that I am bold, brilliant, and tenacious. I'm a woman of God, a pharmacist who has been in the industry for almost 20 years. I'm also a single mother of a uh, senior this year. So we're both graduating. She's graduating, going to college, and I'm graduating into this next phase of my life of building this brand new brand and just being my authentic self and living life to the absolute fullest. So those are some, high level things of who I am. I'm also a um, primary caregiver to both of my parents. One has Parkinson's disease, that's my dad, and my mom's on dialysis. So lots of some moving. It's a ever evolving who I am and what my roles are, right? And so when you think about entrepreneurship, we were just talking about this just a second, how you, Brittany, were saying you like that you get to do so many different things every day. And that's what I enjoy most about life in general, is that every day we wake up, we get to do something new. We get to live a different story every single day. And that's whether you're an entrepreneur or you're clocking in somewhere. That's one of the things that kept me in pharmacy for as long as I have been. It is the fact that I get to do something new every day. And I know I'm making an impact on someone else's life.
That is absolutely amazing. And you say you're an open book, you truly are. And I feel like
Hmm.
that's why your life's calling is what you have taken up, because it needs a lot of openness and you have to talk a lot of depth when you create equality, diversity, culture in corporate America. So let's get started, McCoy, with our first question, which is
Yeah, so you just talked about culture, so I think that's a great first question. So please tell us, what is Grace culture?
Oh my goodness. So that is a great question. I know you see my background back here. Grace culture is a transformational approach to leading yourself and others. It is a personal leadership development framework, specifically around how we can lead others through the lens of grace. Um, it is something that was given to me really from the Holy Spirit when I was going through a very toxic and hostile work environment. I truly learned what grace was all about. When you have to step into an environment every day and smile and say, "How are you?" and lead individuals when you know what's going on behind closed doors, when you know the toxicity and the resistance and just so many other spirits that were walking in there, you have to walk in grace every day. But I think, in general, I would have to say over the last couple of years, everyone's been hearing the term grace. And I believe that a lot of people think that grace is a pass for bad behavior, but it's not. And what I come to find out, that grace is an acronym for me, and also how I lead others, in terms that G is for a growth mindset. We have to expand our mindset. The way we think manifests in our language and our behavior. So we have to know what we're thinking. We have to think about what we're thinking. And then we have to really explore those belief systems that are operating in the background of our mind. So that's what the G stands for in grace. The R is respect. I talked a little bit about respect today on my post. We all deserve to be respected just because we are human beings. The fact that I walked in and graced your presence today means I deserve some respect. And when I talk about respect, I want people to understand the reason I talk about the lowest form of respect is just respecting me as a human being is because when I was working in that environment, I actually had my manager question my humanity. Never had that happen to me. And that really made me start thinking about, okay, what does it even mean to be human? And what does it mean to respect me just for my humanity? If you can't see me as a human being, then I really can't expect too much more from you, right? And
Right.
so just realizing that everybody deserves respect. And I deserve to be respected in the way that I want to be respected. That means if I decide that my pronouns are different than what they were yesterday, if you don't like that, then call me LaQuoia,
Yes.
right? Just respect me. The A is for accountability. Accountability is, I think it's one of those things that people as adults, we have to kind of really learn. What does that look like? Because I will say accountability looks something different when I was a child than what it looks like now. And
Hmm.
definitely personal accountability, me being able to stand in integrity and say that this is my belief system. These are the values that I have. And I am actually going to hold myself and others accountable to those values that I said are important to me. That requires deep work. That requires that I am going to actually disrupt the status quo when I see other people around me who are not being respected and who are not being valued. What does that accountability look like? And it's not going to look like a spanking because I was spanked as a child and I turned out great. But I'm
I
not.
was too.
I'm not
So was
advertising.
I.
But I'm just
Absolutely.
saying, accountability looks different for different people,
It
and it's going to
does.
look different than it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, definitely 100 years ago. So, what does that
Mhm.
accountability look like for you? And then the C is for the courageous conversations. In this transformation process of looking from the lens of grace, I can't have a courageous conversation if I haven't done my own deep work. And that
Absolutely.
work is, let me think about my mindset. Do I have the mindset for this conversation? Am I in the right space for this conversation? The respect level. How do I need to be respected? How does the other person need to be respected? And how are we going to help hold each other accountable for this conversation that we need to have? And then it's just actually having the courage to have the conversation. People think that courage is always physical. You can go jump out of a plane, but there's some people that will sit in the boardroom and will let some stuff go down and they will not say anything, but they'll go and strap up a parachute and jump out of a plane any day. Okay.
Right.
So courage is not just physical, but you
Absolutely.
have to act on courage. You know, it requires a behavioral change and it requires that you're going to actually hold other people accountable around you. That's the courage that we need to have today. And then and only then can we get to equity. That's why the E is so huge in my logo, because that's where we're all trying to get to. But right now we have a lot of organizations who have just trailblazed up to equity, checking all the boxes, they're saying all the right things, but they haven't dealt with the foundation. They haven't dealt with the culture that already exists. When you already know you have people that are resistant to the change that needs to happen, what are you going to do about it?
Wow.
So deep. So
So
deep, you know?
that is grace culture, and that is really how I try to live my life, with grace and peace. I tell y'all, it's really hard every day whenever I go to post. I have to really check my intentions and
Right.
really think, how can I speak in grace and love? Because I have been through some things and I can really, I'm part of the let them know ministry right now.
I love it. The passion you have, LaQuoia, is phenomenal. Like I remember having a call with you 2 years ago, and
Has it
you
been
had
2 years already? Oh my gosh. Y'all, this is what entrepreneurship can do for you, though. Like meeting incredible people. Well, Brittany was a student when I met her, but Mansi, we just bumped into each other on LinkedIn. Wow.
and look from there to what you have built today.
What you
That
have
this was
built.
yes, we both have. And because today it's about grace culture, you that was not even formed. The name wasn't even formed yet.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
But
But
I
you know,
knew you were gonna do big things. It was
you know
just
what,
there, the
Mansi?
conviction.
It's been evolving. It's been an ever evolving process because when I wrote my book, that is current. Well, actually, I took out. We'll talk about that. I took my book down off of Amazon right now, but uh, in my book, I actually talk about grace culture, but it hadn't fully been baked and formed. I just talked about the fact that this is what grace looks like for me, and it was what I just explained to you then. But in this entrepreneurship thing, things are just constantly evolving. Your
Ever
idea,
changing.
your process is
Ever changing.
just loving the
Absolutely.
journey.
So then
Yeah, you gotta
let's let
love the journey.
absolutely the journey, right? That's so important. And so let's kind of take that and lead into the next question. So what was the defining moment that actually pushed you to leave what you call it a toxic work environment?
Cool. That is a good question. The defining moment. I will say that for me, I had been through a lot. I share a lot on my post, and I've become a little more vocal about some of the events that I went through. But in that journey, what was the defining moment for me is when I decided not to be a victim anymore, and I decided that no longer was I going to take this abuse that I was going through, when my integrity and my character became attacked. Because it's different, I think it's different when, as a leader, a lot of times you're going to be, I say, perceived in a certain type of way based upon past leadership experiences that people have had. People will take things out of context, they will twist it. That's just one of those things that comes with leadership. But and I am pretty direct. I'm a very direct person. I'm transparent. I'm going to say exactly what needs to be said, but never have I been mean. I am not a mean spirited person by any means of the word. And trust me, I have some reason to be mean, but I've never been mean. And it was the day that my then manager told me that someone had said that I was being mean in a meeting. And I was like, and it may seem really like benign, but it was just one of those things that had just been building up, building up, building up. And it was like, you know what? Never have I been mean. So now you are attacking my
Wow.
character and my integrity. And that's what we're not going to do. We're not going to, because my integrity and my character, that is who I am.
You have no mean bone in your body. And we were having all these technical issues, and you were so calm and smiling, and
Mm-hmm.
you didn't give any hard time because you don't have meanness at all, or even anger. Like, you're
Oh no,
just
I got some anger now.
But it's really important that we do have to take in consideration that other people could be triggered or could be sensitive to certain things that, and earlier you mentioned inner work. Everybody hasn't done that shadow work, that inner work, that time to sit down and journal. Let me take time to honor my emotions. How does this make me feel? Do I understand why it makes me feel this way? Have I taken the time to work through why I felt that way? A lot of times
Mhm.
we bottle things in, we hold it in, and then we tend to, lash out maybe even on the wrong people sometimes. And unfortunately, that is the world we live in. But the easiest thing that we can do is take time to do our own inner work, some of our own shadow work, and I give a lot of kudos to you for actually doing your work. I've been doing my work as well, and Dr. Mansi as well, and that's something that I think is very much important for any endeavor in your life, in your future, in your relationships, your finances, in your career. It's very much important to do that.
Yes, it
yes,
is.
there's no growth without it. There's no growth without it.
Right, right. When we talk about growth, I think one of the things that I have learned, and I'm sure maybe you all can resonate with me, is that once I decided to leave that environment, whether you left an environment or not, as a pharmacist, when you start meeting people in other industries and you start talking to other people, you find out, wait a minute, there's a whole nother world out there. And I have been such tunnel vision for so long. And it's unfortunate, but that's really how our profession is very tunnel vision. And for the first time, July of 2021 was the first time I ever went to a conference that was not pharmacy related. The very first time. And it blew my mind that it was like, I just felt like I could actually like relax. I could engage and have meaningful conversations. I've grown so much more over the last 2 years because people have expertise in things that I've never even thought about. And the things that I'm able to do now in 2 years because of that growth journey, because of saying no longer am I going to accept this. I don't know what's on the other side, but it has to be better. And I'm just going to grow through it. That is actually the name of my business, is Growing Through It. Mm-hmm. And I've learned so many things. Like I put up my own landing page. I have my own email marketing campaign, right? I mean, like.
And you didn't know you had all these skills, right?
Right. You didn't know. Because when would you use it? Why would you even need to learn to do that when all you're doing is verifying orders every day? And then you go home. If you get online, you're inundated with clinical pharmacy because you need to get all of these hours. And nothing's wrong with that. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. If that is your passion and that is where you see your profession or you see your career going, great. But for people who feel stuck and feel like there is no way out and this is all I can do, I want them to know that your skills are transferable. You don't have to stay in an environment where you are not valued, where you are not respected, where you are not seen and heard. You do not have to stay in an environment where you are just tolerated. You need to be somewhere where you are celebrated. And I've actually went from one extreme to the other. I literally went from hell to heaven.
I love this. This.
So there's other people, not even just pharmacists or clinicians. There are other people that are in toxic environments. So please provide some advice for them.
Listen, okay, well, I can't give all my advice out today, but
let's do 1 to 3 nuggets here.
Yeah, just a couple of them.
Listen, okay, let me think of what I can like really leave with the people. Okay. I would say the number one thing is move towards joy. Move towards your own peace and joy. And unfortunately, I've talked to a lot of my coaching clients that I've dealt with in the past, and people that I talk to even now, they don't even know what brings them joy anymore. It's been so long since they've been happy.
They've forgotten their existence is just robotic.
They're surviving just to get through the day. And I'm telling you right now, if your life revolves around just making it to Friday, and the only peace and the only happiness you have is every other Friday when you look in your bank account, that is no way to live. I lived like that for a long time, girl. I was just working the Friday. I came in on Monday, and when I left on Monday, I said, I got 4 more days left. But that is not the way to live. It really isn't. And so I know everybody can't leave. You can't just up and bounce and leave right now, but you can create a strategy, and I can help you create that strategy. Because I didn't just say, oh, y'all, I'm peace out, I'm leaving. There had to be a strategy. I'm smart. I got a farm B. I'm not dumb. Okay. But at the same time, some people do have to stay. And if you have to stay in the environment for whatever reason, that's fine, but be doing something that you enjoy. And if you can't find that joy there, then find time to start figuring out what brings you joy, because that's going to move you closer to really being happy and at peace. And it might still be in the same profession. It might just not be in that environment, but you have to start somewhere and figuring out what brings you joy. And so and to even narrow that down even further, if you really are like, I really don't know, start taking inventory of what you're doing every day, hour by hour. I got a spreadsheet of a whole year's worth of what I did hour by hour. And when you start taking inventory of what you did hour by hour, even if you do it for like a week or a month, go back over that and highlight what is the stuff that you actually enjoy doing, because that's going to start you thinking about, okay, well, what can I do now? How can I leverage wherever I am to move me closer to that? However, how can I leverage my next whatever, my next job, my next certificate, my next degree, whatever that is? Start moving towards your joy, because that's how I got where I am right now.
I want to highlight something, even if it's in this profession, but not in this environment. You don't have to leave what you're doing. You don't have to completely decide to just drop everything where it's at. The environment can be the defining change, the defining moment, the defining reason that you now have a purpose or joy or happiness. Wow,
Yes.
good stuff.
Yes. And
I
you
love
have to
this.
see, and the thing about, you have to see, I think everyone, honestly, everybody needs to be everybody needs to have a entrepreneurship mindset. Everybody. Okay. Because we know as pharmacists, we having to prove our value every day anyway. Leadership is having to prove your value. You having to prove your value. And that's what you're doing as an entrepreneur, is proving your value to other people, right? So everybody needs to have an entrepreneurship mindset. You need to know, what is your value proposition? What do you bring into this environment, this organization, and in this department? So know that going into it, but also honor and respect your own value. And if you're not getting what you need, if you're not getting the support that you need, if you're not being treated the way you should be treated, then just know that you have value somewhere else. Because one thing that I can tell you, the minute that they don't feel like you have value, they're going to make sure you know.
That's true. Especially in our world, where pharmacists are, expected to be octopus or superhumans trying to do 10 things at a time. And if you only do two or three, you're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You know
amazing how it's
how many
amazing how we don't
pharmacists,
value ourselves.
yeah, how many pharmacists don't value themselves because of how they are being made, like how they're made to feel, basically. Like it's a forced feeling that, like, I've seen great pharmacists who are amazing people and they're good at what they do, they're just slower and they're not good enough. Like fire, fire, fire. Like I knew that day was gonna come for me. Fired. Maybe because I talk too much. Who knows? It could be anything.
Yeah.
I was
That's
fast.
You're not the first person that has said something about talking too much, right? Because I've talked to another pharmacist. Actually, I talked to two who said that I think the other employees around them didn't like the relationship that they had with the customers. So, they would talk, but it's like, but that's what you're supposed to do. That's what we call patient care. That's what counseling is. How do you counsel a patient if you're not talking to them, right? So we send out a lot of mixed messages, I feel like, in pharmacy. One of the messages, that we're sending out is that we're the trusted advisor. We want to be there for the patient. We want to be in direct patient care. We want to be by the bedside. We want to do all these things, but we can't get the right drug to the right patient at the right time. Fundamentally, if we can't get the drug to the patient, it doesn't matter that you can do all these other things, that we're expanding scope of service, but we're not fundamentally doing what the public wants us to do, which is to get the right drug to the right patient at the right time. So it's one of those conundrums, in pharmacy, where I feel like we're constantly in this battle.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's really also a lot of jealousy from, other professionals thinking that how could we be like so much, and we are a competition and God knows what not, right? I was at a store that won Paragon Award, and I was the staff pharmacist, and no recognition. Only the manager gets the award or recognition. Like how sad is that? You
Mm-hmm.
think that manager was there 168 hours of the week?
Yeah.
That's not possible. It's so sad. It's really sad the way corporate culture has created leadership. It's nothing but toxic, very manipulative, full of
Mm-hmm.
insecurities and jealousy. And I feel like we don't find that safe space to thrive. We're always like, we try to rise and then we're pushed down, pushed down, pushed down.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of get tired at one day. We just don't want it anymore. None of it.
Well, you know what? It's interesting that you bring that up, Mansi, because I saw that APHA just put out, I don't know if you all saw it, but they have a pharmacy health and wellness like survey that has just been put out, I think today. I was going to sit down and take it, but I said, no, this about to be a whole experience. I need to plan my whole Friday around this child. I'm going to get me a glass of wine and a small plate to sit down and take this
Right.
survey.
The
But I
memories and
think
things are going to come up.
because we all need to take this survey. It's supposed to be anonymous, and especially considering they recognize in the beginning, they recognize that a lot of people don't feel like they can really share their experience because of retaliation, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. I could not be here talking to you today if I was still in the environment that I was in. Would not. Many of my coworkers, who very few of them, I will tell you, have reached out to me. The same ones that were smiling in my face and saying, "Hey, girl." Very few of them have reached out to me, but that's okay. That's fine. I understand where we are, but many of them didn't understand what I was going through because I couldn't share that. Who was I going to share it to? Right? I couldn't share my full experience. And when I did start sharing my experience, I followed the chain of command and I still had to leave. Right.
Yeah.
And when I walked out the door, I had to walk out the door with the mindset of knowing that I may never work another day in pharmacy. Like that's where I had to get to in my head to actually walk out the door, because I know and I suspected that I would be blackballed. And so because of that, so many people stay in these environments and they're quiet. They don't talk about it until they get like us and they're like, you know what? I'm going to go out here and do my own thing.
Well, McCoy here is really smart. She saw what happened during rotations and never wanted to go that route. So I give you mad props though. It's not easy.
I do want to point something out, because like these are just great nuggets, and you really brought something out that I definitely want to highlight. I remember just being in school, because I want to say school because even though our experiences revolve around pharmacy, this applies to so many other professions here. But I remember being in school and my values were in expanding my resume, my CV. By the time I graduated a pharmacy school, it was 9 pages. And I was still worried about more credentials, more certifications. How am I going to reach 15 pages? My values were in something outside of myself. I was chasing the next title, the next degree, the next whatever it was that was going to make me look better to others, look better in my profession, look better in my career path. But then once I made that transition into entrepreneurship, my values changed. I started doing more personal development. I started doing more inner work and shadow work, like we talked about earlier. I started finding this self-love, this self-value, this priority for myself, setting healthy boundaries. I learned how to say no. Oh my gosh, it was a great a great breath of fresh air. I guess that's the way I want to put it. But it's just amazing the transition from when you are an employee or have that employee mindset, and then when you make that shift into being your own boss, being self-made, becoming an entrepreneur, and some of those values. And unfortunately, we don't learn how to be an entrepreneur in any school, whether it be elementary, middle, high school, college. We don't. We learn how to be employees.
Nor did you learn that in your MBA,
I did,
McCoy.
and you're right. I did not learn that in my MBA as well, which I thought I just knew I was going to learn how to be an entrepreneur in MBA. But that just teaches you how to climb up the corporate ladder. But this is where people like us are in a sweet spot. We are the trailblazers. We are the people to change and make a change, and not only just talk about it, but have the actions to back up some of our values and our beliefs. So hats off to you, LaQuoia. You're an amazing person, and we are so thankful to have you on today.
Gosh, no,
Absolutely.
thank you. I'm so happy to be connected to the both of you. I remember Brittany. Oh my gosh, Brittany, it's so interesting because the post that I posted today about the preceptor education meeting that I was in, you were actually on rotation then when I was having that experience. So it's only fitting today that we talk about this. But I just want to bring up something that you said. No. The word no is a full sentence. I had to have my life coach had to tell me, LaQuoia, no is a full sentence. And I was like, wait, I never really thought about that, right? And the reason I hadn't is because I feel like in our profession, we can't say no. We're always trying to get the next accolade, trying to get the next gold star, trying to get the next degree or certification or alphabet soup behind our name. And so
It's like
then
we're never enough, and we just
yeah,
have to keep chasing and chasing, and no is not an option. You have to keep your schedule 365 days, 24 hours open. That's not life. So no, you're right. LaQuoia, like now, after understanding that no is a full sentence, I always ask people that I've said no to, I say, what part of the no you did not understand?
yes, yes. But you know, the other thing about that no too is in the entrepreneurship world, sometimes you're going to hear no. So I've had to understand that if I hear a no, that's not a rejection. That's a redirection. I
Right.
Right.
accept the no. I actually celebrate the no's. I'm actually right now celebrating a no that I got yesterday because you know what? That just tells me that there's a yes on the way. Right. And so
And
I celebrate the no's. I'm not fearful of rejection anymore. A lot of people won't even go out for a job. They won't apply for a job because they're afraid they're gonna fail or they're afraid they're gonna be rejected. Go for
yes,
it anyway.
that's
Go
right.
for it anyway.
And a
Go
no
for the
right
no.
now could just mean not yet. A no right now just means no right now.
Or no means you're not valued where you are and you need to find a yes somewhere else.
Yes. So, closing thoughts, LaQuoia. Why do you choose to share your story?
I choose to share my story for people that are still who are still growing through it, shall I say. People who are still in environments where they don't feel like they can share their voice. I want to be their voice. I also want to give them tips on how to grow and thrive in whatever environment they're in. And then if they decide they want to exit, I can help you with that exit strategy as well. I also share my voice because as we share our stories, hopefully, I'm hoping that we can actually get more people to share and care and be empathetic to the plight of women who look like me. The fact that your coworker hasn't shared that she feels respected and disrespected and that she feels like she's not valued, seen, or heard. Just because she hasn't shared that with you doesn't mean that that's not how she feels. Just because we walk into an environment every day and smile and wave doesn't mean that we aren't experiencing turmoil in that environment and even before we even walk in. I am so triggered right now, you all. Like the idea of walking behind a counter gives me PTSD. It makes my stomach hurt. Like
Same.
that's how I feel about it, right? But I also feel just as heartfelt about my sisters and my brothers when I walk into a drugstore and I see the conditions that they're in. I feel for them as well. I feel for our technicians who are bearing the brunt of all of this, right? I feel like really pharmacy is like this Titanic. It's a sinking ship. and we taking on water right now. And culture is the iceberg. And if we don't do something rapidly, real, that's like really huge, all hands on deck, we're gonna keep going down.
You've just said it so perfectly, honestly. It's a half sunk ship, and if we don't do anything, it's going to be completely gone. I have definitely sworn to never go back. I will eat, if entrepreneurship can have its ups and downs, I will eat bananas every day and night for 30 days, but I will never step back into a pharmacy.
Well, but and you know what? The good thing is we don't have to. There's so many opportunities. Like I never knew. Like right now, I'm a pharmacist consultant with the CDC Foundation, working with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and I get to do my passion every day, which is look at health equity. Look at how are we actually making sure that people have access to drugs and life-saving treatments and testing supplies, you all. And it's all come full circle for me because this is why I went into pharmacy in the very first place. I had the opportunity to study abroad in a pandemic in South Africa, working with historically marginalized populations. And here I am today getting to do that exact same thing with the CDC Foundation in North Carolina, right? So
I love
all
it.
things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. And this has been a great journey for me. I wouldn't take anything away from this journey. The pain that I went through has thrust me into my purpose and my passion. And I'm just like you, Mansi. I'm not going back. I'm moving forward, but I want to help people along the way.
That's amazing. That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
We rise
Well,
by lifting each other, right? We rise by lifting each other. And
Absolutely. It's not enough for me to survive and not help the next person.
yes,
well,
and I
LaQuoia,
love it.
please let them know where they can find you, your social media, any other information that if they wanted to reach out to you, where can they find you?
So the best place to find me right now is either connect or follow me on LinkedIn for sure. And you can also find me at my website, drlaquoiajohnson.com. Book your next appointment for any of the services that I offer. I would love to connect, share with you, figure out how I can best serve you.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
I'm going to share her link on here so people can have it because she can really help you guys in being everything, a coach, a therapist, and a mentor, because she has pivoted a way for you to walk on.
Thank you.
Trailblazers. Thank you guys. Such a powerful call. Amazing. Every time we have a powerpreneur on here, they just are amazing, give so much value, so much wisdom, and again, a trail that they have blazed that other can walk on.
It is definitely it is definitely possible to reinvent yourselves, and that's the purpose of this podcast here, to have guests that essentially done that. And so you can learn something from these the show every single time. We do this bi-weekly. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time.
Thank you guys.